Hello and welcome back to the jungle garden in Denmark. It's been a while since my last video, but we have been busy with rebuilding the jungle. Unfortunately, we lost a few plants because we had the coldest winter in almost 10 years. We had down to -14.5, and I don't really think that was what killed the plants, but more the fact that we had 2 weeks in a row with temperatures below zero, day and night. But then, I mean, we learned something from that, if it happens again. As you perhaps remember, we wrapped the banana palms, as we always do, to sort of keep the height, because then they make new leaves from the stem, if you can call it that. But even though they were wrapped, they still died down to the root. But then they're shooting again, as you can see here. Fairly big already. But of course it's a shame when you've gone to all the trouble of wrapping them up. We had an acacia tree that unfortunately died this winter, and instead we've bought this Paulownia tomentosa. We've already got one, and clearly that can take the lower temperatures. This one, I'm showing this for comparison, because this one hasn't been cut down as I do every spring. Early in the spring I cut the tree down to about 15 centimeters above ground. This one hasn't, and you can see how small the leaves are compared to the one we had already, which is right here. So if you want big leaves, you have to cut the tree down every spring. This is Tetrapanax, and I must admit I'm impressed by this plant, because it has just taken whatever this winter has thrown at it. It has a bad habit of making runners, as you can see right there. This is a new small plant, but they are very easy to dig up, and then you have another plant. And all the other Tetrapanax we have here in the jungle garden, they are all babies from this one. And I'll show you one that I planted last year as a small baby, how big it is already. Here it is, and it is about 1.5 meters, I guess. So you can see it's fairly big already. So if you really want a plant that gives you a quick growth, a fast jungle impression, that is the plant to get. I have dug up all the pups from the Tetrapanax, and they have been potted up in perlite. Because now it's the most important thing is for them to make a root system. And that they don't have any roots now. They have been living off the mother plant, and that's why they look a bit miserable. I think I got about 10 pups, and some of them will die, but some of them will survive as well. And then I've got some new plants. Here in the new part of the jungle, this is the part we planted last year. we lost quite a lot of the plants because they were not very big yet. They just couldn't stand all that cold. So we've planted some more bamboo, and they are a bit more special. They get very tall, but they also runs. So they're all planted in tubs. We've cut the bottom of the top, so the roots can still go down, but they can't go to the sides. Just to make sure. And as you will see here, that was what's left of a tree fern, which was completely blackened off by the frost. We give it a chance until next spring because all the new fern leaves were completely blackened off, and there were little hard black stumps that I've dug out of the plant, and to make sure that the new ones can get up. But we'll see next spring if it has survived or not. So even though we protected it, it was still not enough. Really a shame. This is supposed to be a Gunnera manicata, but I think I've been cheated because it looks more and more like a tinctoria instead. A Gunnera tinctoria has these pink veins in the leaves, as this one has, and a Gunnera manicata has white veins, and the leaves are very big and they're sort of flat compared to this one. So I think I've got a tinctoria here instead, which is not so good because it's forbidden in both England and in France because it spreads very aggressively. I keep cutting the flowers off so it can't set seed, but if it is a tinctoria, I have to dig it up and throw it out. Really a shame. Most of the bananas here in the new part of the jungle is actually pups from our old banana palms. Even though they froze down to the ground and I had to reshoot, they still have made a lot of pups, and we've just transplanted some of them, and they're doing very well, as you can see. The fig tree froze completely back to the root, but is shooting again, as you can see, and it is doing very well. Here we have some Trachycarpus and palm trees that we thought had died during the winter, so we dug them up and we have put them out here in our kitchen garden, and they are shooting again. This one is doing very well, that one as well, and even this one has got a little shoot coming up now. So has that one, even if it's a bit hard to see. Also out here in our kitchen garden we have put a lot of the banana pops we have dug up from the mother plants, so we have quite a few out here. We don't have very good experience with putting them in pots. They die, probably because the soil gets too wet. They don't like that. So we have chosen to put them out here this time. This is the New Zealand bed where we have lost quite a lot of plants during the winter. We had a big cordyline australis about 3 meters tall that died, so this is the new one. We also lost our phormium, the New Zealand flax. So here is a new one, and again our biggest tree fern looks like all the others. We'll just have to see if it comes back next spring, otherwise we'll have to dig it up and throw it out. This is the Australian bed, and also here we lost quite a few plants. Our bottle brushes, both of them died. So this is one of the new ones, and there's another one over there. If I can get a bit closer, perhaps. That one. And we've planted some other new things in here that should be a bit more hardy than what they're replacing. Last autumn I dug up all my tender colocasias and took them indoors and put them in pots. They had produced a lot of pups, so I had quite a few new plants. And then I had them in my hallway where we have floor heating and sky lights, and they liked that very much, so they became really tall, but also very thin, and they started breaking. So I took them out in my heated room outside in the stable, and there are growth lights, but there of course isn't floor heating, and they didn't like that. I probably gave them too much water, and they hate being in cold and damp soil, so a lot of them died. I still have quite a few of the pups, like this one. The mother plant, both mother plants died, and the ones with green leaves died as well. So now I know that that's not the way to do it, and I've already got an idea to what to do this winter, and then we'll see if that goes better. We were supposed to plant ground cover here in the new part of the jungle this year, or that was the plan, but now we've spent all the money on buying new plants instead of those who died during winter, so ground cover must be next year, and that's why it looks a bit more barren than the old part of the jungle over there. So what we learned from this winter is that even the most hardy palms has to be winter protected if we get a winter like this we've just had again. And that was it in this episode. Thanks for watching.